We have two subjects to cover in this video. I'm going to do them right now. You have a YouTube channel. It doesn't matter what the objectionable content is. I'm just using the word firearms or guns because that's the most common one YouTube is going after. This is the actual strategy you have to do. Now, I have over 1,000 videos, oh my God, on one channel. And I have to go through this every chance I get. It gets really exhausting. I go through and I edit the videos to where if there's any links, there's one link. And that link goes to an archive that isn't a place that YouTube could ever have a problem with. It's an archive to an archive. That sounds stupid, but let me continue. I take all of the links in the video, line them up good, whether they're going to get flagged or not, and then I archive the entire video with all the links visible. That archive now just goes to archive.today.org. I then use that as a substitution for all links in the video and eliminate literally every link in the video, except this one that links to essentially YouTube. If YouTube really wants to flag the hell out of things, they essentially have to flag links to YouTube. They're not going to do that, so it makes it almost impossible for them to find a bullshit reason to flag my YouTube channel. What's the next thing they can flag my YouTube channel for? Anything I say. They took away the ability for us to mute objectionable words a long time ago because they don't want us to be able to edit our videos and get rid of that because they consider that an evasion of their flagging bot. Yes, complying with their rules is considered a loophole and evasion of ban, but they left in the ability to blur video. So if I put my hand up and do this, I can blur it by making one little square box over the middle finger and two round ones here so that it looks like, totally doesn't look offensive. It just looks like I blurred out my hand having genitals suddenly. And yes, I've done that, I think, twice now, because it's hilarious. Because the unintended consequence is that I have the ability to imply something. You know, unnecessary pixelation implies all sorts of things. It's amazing. Let your dirty mind run free. But what if you have something in the YouTube video from 5 years ago when there was no rule against it, like loading a firearm, using a 30-round magazine or more, or just folding a gun in half? YouTube has decided to flag channels that show somebody loading a machine gun in a video game called Call of Duty. They have flagged people for loading extended magazines in a Nerf gun. Because the YouTube algorithm used to be blind and deaf, now it's just myopic and hard of hearing. We can't do anything about the audio unless you're willing to add really short, silent sections of audio in, which I'm going to have a video how to do that. It's the only way to mute your audio anymore. You have to mute every dirty word. That's going to be an entire universe of shit. Blurring, that's the next one. If you have a YouTube channel with 1,000 or more videos and you want to put in the effort, you go through and blur everything out that they're going to have a problem with. And what you blur out is any image that shows, if you have firearms, any firearm. In any video that didn't get many views, just don't worry about how crappy it looks. Just blur the shit out of things. You have to blur everything in one session because they won't let you come back really quickly and add in extra blur parts. You have to make a note of the video anytime it shows anything that YouTube can conceivably in the future have a problem with. Literally everything that looks like a firearm gets blurred, and every one of your videos that's not getting any views. It'll still be there, it's still informative, but it's going to blur everything. And you put in at the top, blurred and censored due to YouTube totalitarianism. Cool. Next. On videos that get lots of views, you're going to have to look for the specific thing they're having a complaint about, like loading a certain high-capacity magazine, or showing a bump stock, or showing a collapsible stock, or showing pistol braces. Anything that could be considered technically something they can get away with flagging your channel for later. Think of it that way, not that they're trying to protect anybody. They're not. They are not trying to protect anybody. Don't you ever think that again. How do you do this if you're a big channel and can afford it? Or you can get YouTube's attention. YouTube can, in some cases, grant a YouTube channel multiple login capability. This either means that multiple people can log into the same password. You have to okay that because that looks like a bunch of people hacking your account. Or they give you the ability to do the same thing, but they're like, you're going to have to use individual passwords and logins. And what you do is you give each person editing rights. And it sometimes works. The idea is for an organization doing lots of videos, or like a news channel, for instance, they may want to have editing rights. And it may even give you the editing rights to add in audio, subtract audio, alter the video. But you have to agree to an agreement, because people could use that as a way to avoid getting flagged when they're really doing something bad on YouTube. And that's actually happened. That really did. I'm not joking. So you can do that. But the easiest one at one time was to get it to where it would not argue with you if you had multiple logins using the same credentials. You have your volunteers or friends and family or co-workers go into the YouTube channel. They have to learn how to blur vids very surgically, or just the videos that are not viewed very much. Don't put a lot of effort into the videos that don't get any views from 4 years ago, please. And go through and just blur things very carefully on the ones that are getting a lot of views. That way it only shows in protest, blurred due to totalitarianism. They can't really flag you for that. You're complaining. That's it. You would use a throwaway password during this for all of these channels. That way nobody can share passwords or accidentally screw up their bank accounts. And you blur everything, get rid of all the issues, and then you reset the password to something else. If possible, get YouTube to let you put it back to your old passwords. They may not do it. I don't think they'll do it, but ask them. If you're not a big YouTuber, you're not going to be able to do that. Set up a proxy machine for editing YouTube. There used to be a tutorial on it. I don't know if it works anymore. But you set up your computer that way, and it just looks like you have 15 windows editing one video. You can even do that on your desktop if you can get 15 monitors and 15 monitor cards or whatever, and have people sit there and very carefully edit it. I would use a proxy machine. I don't even know how to do that anymore. I only did it once, and it didn't work more than 6 months. Okay. Now, we'll talk about the ATF wanting to ban people. Okay, here we go. Some precepts you're going to have to accept. The AFT, the Anti-Fun Tribunal, ATF, has made it legal for people to do certain things, waited 4 years, and then immediately did an about-face, and then tell everyone, we're going to turn you into a felon if you don't give us $200 each time for each thing we can get after you for. Yeah, I said it. Well, WAPTEC, no, that's literally what they did, and that's the decision in a couple of court cases. And what happened to them is, this is self-dealing because you're collecting a tax. And you're changing the laws without the government controlling you, like the House and Senate. You're not letting Congress do this. You're making laws and then changing them at will, and it's self-dealing. Your punishment is you have to give everybody a free tax stamp. This has happened only a couple of times. One of them was for a particular set of machine guns. The point is, it wasn't machine guns. They were just declared machine guns. This self-dealing thing has happened to them, and they avoided it because they don't want to do that. But they can't collect their $200 tax stamp, so they just have to actually enforce rules they think are valid. Suddenly, it's a lot less bullshit. Now, here are your options concerning the subject matter I'm going to bring up about the AFT's recent pistol brace rulings. They told people not only can you have a pistol brace that looks exactly like a buttstock, collapsible or not, on your short-barreled firearm, it's a pistol, you can shoulder it. You can treat it like a shoulder stock, occasionally. And then they changed their answers. And eventually they decided, no, we're just going to outlaw pistol braces. What are you supposed to do? Well, let's talk about the dumbest thing on down. Go to prison on principle. Because you're a protester, Burma freedoms, etc. Because you wouldn't want to comply with this ruling when you knew damn good and well years ago you were putting a pistol brace on it so you could shoulder it so you could get away with getting a free, not $200 tax stamped short barrel rifle. Virtually everybody who did that, stop lying, virtually everybody who did that did it so they could have a short barrel rifle and get away with it legally. That's it. Otherwise they wouldn't have kept asking over and over again, can we shoulder this? Okay, I acknowledge the ATF's deceit and outright violation of federal law because it's been noted in court cases, okay? But y'all got to take some responsibility for this. Next, pay a $200 application fee. Fill out forms. They have permanent unrestricted access to your house. You no longer have a right of freedom against unreasonable search and seizure. They have a permanent search and seizure warrant. They have warrantless search capabilities. Yes, if you do anything involving a tax stamp to the ATF, by default, you are granting them the right to just break your door down. But that's not what it says. That's what they fucking do. Shut up. Just shut the fuck up. That's what they do. We're talking about, we're in reality mode here. Next. And that's for converting your firearm into a $200 tax stamped lower receiver, key wording here, that you're then allowed to do anything else you want to, within reason. They have some restrictions that would have the same $200 tax stamp associated with it, like making a short barrel shotgun out of a rifle or whatever. Depending on the lower receiver, let's say it's an AR-15. Let's talk about that. AR-15s can be configured to fire shotgun shells all the way down to BB gun pellets and .22 long rifle. The upper receiver changes everything about it. The lower receiver is just a universal receiver for all this shit. That's why people buy AR-15s. But it has that it looks like a buttstock, but it's actually a buffer tube on the back. We're going to discuss what the lower receiver is and not the buffer tube. But anyway, you get an unrestricted firearm, you got a $200 tax stamp, the government knows all about you, and they can break your door down and shoot your dog. Or you can do their, grandfathered, non-self-dealing, $0 tax stamp. It's still considered a short barrel rifle, and if you sell it, someone has to pay them $200 to buy it from you. But you can keep your pistol brace on there that you're obviously using as shoulder stock for some reason. You have to sign the same forms, giving them permanent home search warrantless access. Or, and I know this sounds crazy, here we go. If it started off a pistol and you convert it into a rifle, you're allowed to convert it back to a pistol under a specific set of conditions, which means you can make it into a rifle when you need to and turn it back into a pistol for transport. Because the Thompson-Center ruling made it to where the ATF has to acknowledge this overtly, and I have archives below to the links. ATF making a joke of themselves. Let's discuss. Put an 18-inch barrel on it. Yeah, I know someone's going to say 16. Drag them away from the computer, unpausing it, and scream the number 18. Play Beethoven, pin their eyes open, and make them say 18 inches. I don't want to hear 16 inches ever again, you son of a bastard. Shut up. I don't care if that's the rule. Make it 18. Why? Because the ATF has a stretchy ruler. Make it 18 inches. Bigger's better. And put a buttstock on it after you put the barrel on. Or never put it on and leave it a firearm if the whole body length is 26 inches. I don't care if you have to put a 26-inch barrel on the goddamn thing. But how do we measure that, Wabtec? You measure it from the lower receiver's furthest back end that's permanently part of the lower receiver part that's made of aluminum, not any other component. Don't add something to it. You want to make it at least 26 inches long with a long barrel. I don't care if you have to put a longer barrel on it, do it. It's a firearm because it can't be fired as a pistol because it's too unwieldy, and it can't be fired as a shotgun or rifle because there's no goddamn buttstock of any kind. Some people have taken my advice and even gotten AR-15s converted over to where there's no buffer tube, so it literally looks like a little pistol. Well, it looks like a pistol until you have a magazine. Then it looks like a machine gun because everybody freaks out. Make sure it's 26 inches long overall length and has a long barrel, and start it as a pistol because you can put a shoulder stock on it temporarily. If it has a barrel 16 inches or more in length and the firearm was originally a pistol and the resulting firearm with attached shoulder stock, if over 26 inches overall length or without the shoulder stock still that long, is not an NFA firearm. Assuming this firearm was originally a pistol, such a conversion rifle can later be unassembled and reconfigured as an unbraced pistol again, and would not be considered a weapon made from a rifle because it was never a rifle at any time. Even putting the buttstock on it doesn't make it a rifle if it's temporary and part of a kit. Thompson-Center ruling says if you have the parts together, it's not constructive intent to break a law if you're following it. Or just remove the goddamn pistol brace and put a long barrel on it, or not, and leave it as a pistol and stop acting like you're not trying to make a short barrel rifle and skip a $200 tax stamp. If you really want your freedom from being investigated, fucked with, have your house broke down, or even signing a form somewhere, just don't own a pistol brace. That's it. Or just put an 18-inch barrel on the damn thing and make a rifle out of it and leave it. Or do what I said, make it a firearm so you can convert it back and forth anytime you want to. On the safest side, keep the parts separate. Or do what I do and just have a bunch of spare materials and extra barrels and pipes, and just never have a firearm, at least not one that anybody can detect. And again, if you're on YouTube, you're going to have to learn how to blur your videos. So this is mostly about YouTube. It's not about the ATF. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. I wish everyone luck with that. Now I got to go edit a bunch of flare gun videos.